Assumptions for dependent two-sample t-test, or alternatively known as paired t-test. Assumptions are specific or certain criteria or conditions about the data that have to be fulfilled before performing statistical test. Each statistical test has certain number of assumptions that have to be fulfilled. This has to be fulfilled prior to performing the test. Violation of these assumptions can lead to incorrect result, incorrect analysis, and invalid conclusion. So, paired t-test, or alternatively called dependent or related t-test, will compare the mean of two related groups. It will examine whether the mean difference between two paired observation is different from zero. So the hypothesis will be generated, and the null hypothesis will state that the mean difference between the paired observation is zero. The mean for the 1 minus mean 2 equal to 0. The alternative hypothesis will state that the mean difference is not equal to 0. Acceptance or rejection of the null hypothesis depends on the p-value. If the p-value is less than 0.05, then reject the null hypothesis. 7 assumptions have to be met prior to performing paired t-test. The first assumption is that the dependent variable is continuous. Dependent variable should be measured at an interval or ratio level. Dependent variable or variables can be a temperature. An example of the dependent variable are temperature, salary, revision time, reaction time, length. The second assumption is that the independent variable should consist of two categorical related groups. So the independent variable consists of two categorical groups, two related groups, two paired groups. An example is to take an individual and make a measurement before and after the treatment. So the same individual participates before and after the treatment. So that is a paired sample. The third assumption that have to be fulfilled is the normality of the differences. So the difference between the two paired groups are normally distributed. So you take the values from each group, subtract it from each other, and then check whether this data are normally distributed. The way to check normality is to draw a histogram, or to draw a QQ plot, or a box plot, or performing a statistical test, such as Shapiro-Wilk test, Kolmogorov-Smirnov test, and Anderson-Darling test, and other tests. So these are the visual presentation of the for checking the normality of the data: histogram, box plot, and QQ plot. So the for normality to be checked in drawing a histogram, the graph have to be normally distributed with a bell-shaped curve. And for the box plot, as shown here, this is the lower limit, the upper limit for the data, and the box in the middle with a line in it can be a median or the mean, and the length of the whisker should be equal. That's indicate normality of the data. And the third plot, which is QQ plot, shows the circle, blue circles here should be aligned on the diagonal line and that indicates normality of the data. If the normality assumption is violated, then t-test or paired t-test should not be used. An alternative test is the Wilcoxon Signed Rank test. This is a non-parametric test which is equivalent to the paired sample t-test but does not require the assumptions that the differences between the two groups are normally distributed. So when the assumption is violated for normality, then this test can be used. A fourth assumption is that there should be no significant outliers. So what are the outliers? Outliers are extreme, low, or high scores that is different from the rest of the data. As shown here in this box plot, this star here with 1 is a very low score compared to the rest of the data, as they are all clustered in this diagram. Here also in the right hand side box plot, extreme high value from the rest of the data is shown here. Another assumption that have to be met is the independence of pairs. So each pair of observation should be independent of each other. So the outcome of one pair should not influence the outcome of another pair. The sixth assumption is that paired dependent observation. Data consists of pairs of related observation. So the measurement is taken or done on the same subject, such as before and after treatment for the same person, or different measurement from the same subject. And finally, the last assumption that have to be fulfilled is the random sampling, which means that the participants should be randomly allocated or selected or picked from population. If you find this video useful, do subscribe to the channel, leave any comment in the indicated box, and activate the notification bell to receive the recent and latest release into the channel of several different video clips, and click on the like icon and share the video link with others so the channel can expand and improve to include a large scope of different statistical method and how to analyze data using several different statistical packages such as SPSS, Excel, Stata, Jamovi, R-Statistic or Statistics, GraphPad, Prism, GPower, Python, and RevMan. If you are a student or a researcher and you have a data, whether it is quantitative or qualitative, and you want to perform statistical analysis on that data using any of the softwares listed here, whether it's SPSS, Excel, Stata, Jamovi, R-Statistics, GraphPad, Prism, RevMan, GMP, Python, then do contact me to arrange for either a one-to-one private tutor session or a training course on any of these statistical packages. My contact details are given here, so don't hesitate to write to me or email me if you need a private one-to-one tutoring or a training course.